I believe you're losing people money.
There is so much pain in the delivery that they are speaking through to the camera, and a lot of them seem fucking miserable. Faith isn't about religion. It is just a word that describes a situation where everything works out perfectly. A bet is a gamble. If you can't bet on yourself, what else can you bet on? It's the easiest bet I've ever made, and I've never lost.
Welcome to the Lead to Win podcast. Today, I'm challenging a fellow creator online on some of his methods and what he's promoting online on how you can leverage and grow a business as a solopreneur and use so much AI and tactics. But I feel like you could be delegating more and hiring more people, but he believes a solopreneur business is the way. But I'm going to challenge him and I'm curious to see what he says. Our guest today is a friend of mine, Tom Youngs. Tom, how are you?
Mate, I'm banging, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. You're one of the first people I met where after a conversation with you, it didn't feel like a transactional conversation with someone in Dubai. So you didn't say, hey man, what are you making every single month? And I actually thought, I can get along with this person. So I'm really happy to have you on the podcast.
Thanks, man. Look, when I met you in Dubai, likewise had a kind of reaction where this is someone who's not afraid to challenge someone who they've just met. And I found that really refreshing, and had some really cool conversations. And yeah, I like it because you're always poking the other side of the coin. You're always looking for the other answer, which I really love.
Yeah, you're getting poked today.
I'm the one getting poked today, yeah.
The truth is, I look at a lot of people online and I want to validate that they're good. I just see so much noise. And what I find is the people who know their stuff can stand up for what they believe in. And it's not a thing, I want to prove you wrong or I want to prove you right. I do have things that I believe in. And I want to express the things that I believe in. For example, I believe everyone should become a good leader, learn how to manage people when they run their business. The trend right now is, just to have a solo business. And I just believe it's not good for giving you life skills. And some of the things that you promote are amazing. I like visually how your content looks. But I also I've recently been watching your content and I feel like I just want answers on some of those things. And I think, are you, if I didn't know you, I might be thinking, is this guy just peddling another course, another program? I do know you, so I think you're a person of integrity, but I still want to be able to challenge you because I know that you do stand for something, but I want to be able to see your opinions. And rather than just doing it on a WhatsApp call, why not do it live for everyone to see?
Let's do it, man.
Okay. So, a quick rundown on what you do. You help people with their personal brand, correct?
That's part of what I do. So I help creators grow their businesses. Personal branding is just part of, a core part of that kind of growth engine. So put it simply, I help creators scale to the next 20K monthly income goal. But kind of doing it without a lot of the stuff that they've tried before, cold outreach, complex funnels. I don't do sales calls, which is why I know we have a really interesting relationship and a good discussion to have today. Yeah. And there are a lot of people out there who are looking for that. And there are also a lot of people who are really struggling with having a big team. And so I work with a lot of people. I'll give you an example. I have an onboarding, kind of an enrollment call straight after this with a lovely young lady who she does 70K a month in her fitness coaching business. She's operating off 15% profit margins. So she has a team of maybe 8, couple of closers, a setter, 2 coaches or 3 coaches, and she's netting $7,000 at the end of the month. And in my opinion, that's not cool. And so I have a lot of people who are in that kind of space where they've built a big team, but they don't have the skills to actually turn it into profit. And I believe that's because people are following a model that is not aligned to what is truest to them. And then they end up building someone else's business, which ends up becoming a bit of a golden handcuffs cage. And that's what I see. And so my thesis is all around building a business that you truly love. And I completely agree with you. Growing a team and developing the skills to be able to hire people to delegate is 100% the end goal. I believe that solopreneurship is a phase. I do not think it is the end state. I think that is a place of general misery. And the end state is entrepreneurship, which is being able to hire, manage, lead. And hands up, I'm learning that shit at the moment.
Nice. Okay. So I like that you're obviously, you know it's important and you're wanting to learn it. But then this person who's coming to you with a team, and so she's got 7 team members and she's got 15% margins at the moment. Isn't she taking a step backwards by coming to you for advice on how to maybe become more profitable without a team?
How do we define a step backwards?
Because it's the advice that you're going to give her. But I'm just curious, like, hey man, hey woman, you should get rid of your team. You should have less of a team so it can increase your profit margin. Because I know how to increase profit margins, especially within fitness, on how to move them up with a team. So is your advice on the other extreme like, hey man, you need to get rid of your closers, you need to get rid of your setters, so then you can start closing yourself?
The answer is I don't know yet. So she's only just started working with me. Everyone I work with based on it's every single person that I work with has a different and unique business. And that, in my opinion, is how you build a business that you truly love, is that you operate within frameworks and kind of some guide rails. So the way I consider myself as someone who is a consultant is I provide like the bumpers. If someone was going to go 10-pin bowling, you can put the bumpers on so the ball doesn't go in the gutter. I'm the bumpers, but it is up to you to figure out what it is that truly is the thing that you're looking for within those bumpers. So the answer is, I don't know yet. So I need to work with her on this. But typically when I start working with someone who's in that realm, and again, another guy who I'm going to be having the onboarding call with today, he's in a similar position. He just sent me a message half an hour ago, was like, Tom, this is my appointment setter. He's spamming all of my leads with like follow-ups, and I just feel like I'm burning all my leads. What should I do? And he was like, should I get rid of the setter? And I'm like, no, dude, you've worked with me for 2 days. Just tell him to call it on the follow-ups. Okay. Like we don't have to burn a house down to build a mansion. We need to look at things strategically. So the answer to your question is, do you play cricket?
I'm brown and I'm terrible at cricket.
Okay, that's why I asked, because I knew you. I don't think you were brown, but you don't play cricket. But this is the idea of giving a straight.
I tried and failed.
Okay, there you go. So I tried and I was pretty good at cricket. So it's called a straight bat answer. The answer is I don't know. And I think as leaders, we need to be completely open with the idea of saying I don't know yet. So the answer is who knows. I might say, yeah, sack all your team. I may say keep all your team, or likely it's going to be somewhere in between. So I don't know is the answer. But what I do know is that there is going to be a path to getting her to a business that she truly loves and feels connected with, because right now she feels disconnected from her business. And that's the point.
Okay, I like it. It's a very careful answer. You're going to find out when you've spoken to her. And look, I've looked through your content. I've been watching your content. I also follow your content. And you really promote how to grow your personal brand, how to grow your network, how to, like you've been saying recently, you've hit your first 100K months. One thing that I like that you said is that it took me 2 years to figure it out. And that 2 years that it took you to figure it out, and that leverage gap that you call it, I think that is realistic, because it took me 2 years as well. So when I was watching that video of yours, I thought, you know what, it took me 2 years. But then this is the issue that I have with you in your content specifically and how you've kind of worded it there. It took me 2 years to figure this out, and I'm going to help you figure it out now. And the issue really is you figured it out after being a funnel analytic expert for large brands. You found it out. Like, you already had stacks of experience. You already opened your own business. You did a partnership. You did agency. And I think if someone just watches your content and they're like, okay, I can figure this out, whether it's going to take them 6 months or 12 months, how do they get all of that knowledge from your brain and learn that from just working with you. It feels like, because the one thing that we do is we just teach you to become a better leader, teach you to manage a sales team, and it's process driven. With yours, is it just you're going to hit your first 100K month and just give it time and I'm going to teach you?
Again, I'm going to come back with what I call a straight bat answer. It's all of the above, man. So you know this is like, ultimately, I consider myself a guide. So that's my role is I see myself as guiding someone along a path. So when it comes to where we want to get to, you'll agree that what we're actually trying to do is just increase our toolkit of skills. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So my job is to help my clients increase the breadth and the depth of their toolkit of skills, and I do that in different ways. Some people learn through visual stuff. Some people learn through reading. So I have to make sure that I give different ways for people to get knowledge to understand what these skills are. Now, the cool thing that I've known and I talk about is that, yeah, I've been a funnel consultant for big brands. And I mean, part of my message is that because I did that, I recognized that is not what we need to be doing to build our creative businesses. We can actually do them in a much more simplified, much easier to understand, and much easier to implement way. So my experience of being an analytics consultant for those brands has allowed me to create systems that are simpler for people who don't have the expertise that I have, who wouldn't be able to set up Facebook ads manager, wouldn't be able to do all the pixel shit that they need to do, wouldn't be able to create landing pages, create email campaigns, do all of the stuff that I know how to do because they don't need to. And so that was kind of where my unique background has allowed me to create something that's actually the most simplified version it can be. Now, the truth is, it ain't easy. And I get reminded of this all the time. You know, we all have a spectrum of people that we work with. And I would say when you said this, it was 2 years for both of us. I believe we're on the fast end of the spectrum. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I think you can only last 2 years if you've got grit. Most people don't have grit. They will give up after 6 months, or I think it's 2 years to see signs it's going to work.
100%. So I say 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years to get past the leverage trap, where everything suddenly there's signals. There's signals of like, oh, things are going up a little bit. So I'm with you, but I agree. I think the difference in speed is grit, is the ability to like really stick with things and have faith and belief that eventually you'll get past that period. And yeah, that's like I agree with you, man. Like it's not easy to do this, and it takes a significant amount of time. But I would say what my background has allowed me to simplify stuff, and that's why my whole model is called the One Simple Flywheel. And that's why I can bridge a gap between my knowledge and my clients, and I can provide the things that they need to be able to implement the stuff that I know and have implemented myself.
And your content looks so good, and others will follow what you do and what you say. And by you saying, hey, like, you don't need an appointment to take, it could be a solo-driven business. If I'm new to business and you're like the first mentor I'm investing in, and the lesson that I learned from you, as you are my guide, providing those guardrails, that, hey man, you shouldn't be getting a setter right now, don't focus on this. I believe you're losing people money. I believe what you could be doing is saying to people, don't delegate, because they need to learn that skill as early as possible. They need to learn doing first, but then the skill of letting go and delegation need to learn. So if they do actually come to you, they will end up with amazing looking content, but then busy all the time.
For sure, man, for sure. So yeah, again, there's nuance and context to this, right? So I recommend to people they should get to, and this is because I learned this from my mentor. So I thought I knew better. My mentor told me, don't get an appointment setter until you've made your first 30K month. Because from what, sorry?
From Convert? Was this from the guys from ConvertKit?
No. This was a mentor that essentially does what I do, right? So I learned a lot of the stuff that I know from him, and have refined it over time. And he was like, don't get an appointment set until you get to 30K a month. And multiple times when I was at 10K a month, I tried to hire an appointment setter, and I didn't have the skill of delegation. So I hired wrong, didn't know. It was every single time, it was a huge waste of time me doing that. And then I got to 30K a month on my own, and then I was like, he was right. The motherfucker was right. I got to 30K a month and was like, okay, I didn't need an appointment setter. But then something interesting happened. I decided I'm not going to do sales calls anymore. So I made a bit of a leap of faith, and that was 9 months ago now. And 9 months ago, and I still don't have an
So you don't
appointment
do
setter.
any sales calls.
I don't do any sales calls, and I have
Right, we're
just
having it
built.
out. We're gonna have it out together
I've
now. Let me
I've
sit
just
properly.
I've just so let's give some context. I've just built another record month for me, just 194K in new business in July so
Okay,
far.
well done on your record month.
Thank you very much.
But why do you want to throw away so much more money?
So right now my bottleneck is delivery. So my delivery model is based around me. So I'm the one helping my clients, and it requires a certain amount of my time. So the truth is that I think I've taken 8 clients on this month. I don't have much capacity. I couldn't take on 20 every single month because my delivery model doesn't allow me to. So I know I'm leaving potential money on the table, 100%. But it's my delivery model which would have to change for me to be able to do that. And right now, like, my priority still at this, what I believe is my early stage of this business. I'm still only 2 years in. 1 year on like a relaunch of kind of a completely new way of doing things. I'm still in the validation stage. I'm trying to build a business that lasts decades. So right now, I have an aim to get to 150 clients, and make sure that I'm not working 12 hours a day, which I'm currently not. So that's where it's more about where my priority is. But I've spoken to you about this, dude. Like, and I really love, you were the one that first kind of triggered this for me, this idea of conscious capitalism. Did I get that right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And I completely agree with you, man. And I think I hadn't considered that before. I think I was being selfish previously, which was thinking about my comfort. That's ultimately what it's about. It's my comfort. And the cool thing is that since we met, like, 4 to 6 months ago, I've really kind of like accepted that, okay, no, I just have to step into a new identity who is comfortable with the idea of building teams, building something that's bigger, and stepping out of my comfort zone. But what that means is right now, I just don't have the capacity to bring on more people to work with them based on my delivery model.
Okay. So are you like what I find so much? What happens is people are trying to protect their margins so much that it stops them from doing the highest leverage thing. Let me give you an example. You could say, okay, I'm going to spend 3 months and productize my course, so then it needs less time from me. Or I'm going to hire a consultant or a CSM to help me with my delivery. And the highest leverage thing that I believe you can do is go and hire an experienced CSD, someone who's built success teams. This person will cost between 8 and 10 grand per month. Plus they want some commission as well based upon back-end sales. And that person will build out all of the team and all of the delivery, winning you all your time back. But what happens is people are so wrapped up in their margins, they're scared to hire those big hires.
Yeah. So I'll be honest, this is where it's like, this is a challenge for me because I've publicly stated how I am not a fan of educational experiences, which is ultimately what I have, where it's a personal brand led educational experience and someone buys with the assumption that it's going to be me helping them. And then all of a sudden they enter the experience and then it's like, hey, here's Jeff. And because you're sat there being like, who the fuck's Jeff?
I think that's crazy because
But I've experienced. I'm saying this from experience, dude. It's like I've paid for mentorship, gone in, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a message from some random dude who's like, hey, I'm your CSM or whatever. I'm going to be hopping on calls with you. And I'm like, I don't know who the fuck you are, pal.
Okay, so I'll say what I did, and then I say why I did it that way. So I wanted to hire my first consultant. I couldn't deliver on enough sales teams and advise all of them. So I could have hired cheap. I could have hired for 3 or 4 grand. But what I did instead was I found a recruiter and I said, I want the best person who's in the market, who's available, who's potentially already built a big client success team and got experience with large businesses. And then they said to me, you know, that person's going to cost you a 10K base, maybe another 10K of commissions, because they're not going to work for cheap. And I went, okay, let's find the person, let's interview them. And then for the next 3 months of their onboarding, all I did was go through everything that I do and pass it on to that person. And then every time they would have a client call, I would quality check that call with them and go through exactly how they should be coaching that client. And then now we have regular coaching calls with that client. So what I did was I duplicated my brain. So what I thought of is, if I can duplicate my brain to my clients and coach them, why can't I do it to my own team for someone who's going to be with me for 40 hours a week? And then I've recreated my delivery to be another superstar. And now we're having multiple superstars. And then I would think about the same thing in, like, let's say Steve Jobs was a personal brand driven business because he was the face of Apple. If he's the face of Apple, he then would hire the world's best coders and developers and manufacturers and then pass on his vision to them. So to me, that's how a business scales, and that's how you can make more of an impact, by passing on your brain to more people.
Okay. Can I really throw a bit of a spanner in the works here, man?
Yeah.
Because I agree with you, man. I agree with you. Taking what you have in here, your intellectual property, and giving it to an entity to be able to hand it off to your clients, totally cool. I recently did that. And I trained a GPT with 14 million characters of my intellectual property. Basically every video I've made over the last 2 years, emails that I've sent, all of my data from Slack from the last year and a half. And I put it in a GPT. Cost me $20 a month. And my clients now will use it every day for guidance.
Okay, it's nice that they have a chat GPT to answer their questions.
Dude, I could.
Okay,
Look.
that's-
This is why this is a deeper question than because this is brand
Well,
new
I'll tell you why
stuff.
that doesn't work. I want to give you the answer. The chat GPT will give them speed, but do you know when they doubt themselves, when they think, I'm not sure of this thing, a human will say, why do you feel that way? And use intuition and care to be able to coach them. And that's what a good consultant, CSM, someone who's carrying your delivery, and that's what you would do. The GPT...
So I fundamentally disagree with that, man, because you said it yourself.
Yeah.
I think there's I have a model, a motto. It's the core value of the way I operate with my clients. It's called fuck around and find out. And my belief is that the answer is within you, and the answer is not within me as the guide, it's within your market. And the fastest way for you to get an answer is by testing a hypothesis in the market, like a scientist. And so my fuck around and find out approach is all about putting the scientific method into your own business. And what that does is that gets people out of their own way of having fear around making decisions. And so what I do is a huge thing is helping people get rid of the fear of being able to screw up, and understanding that speed of doing things and testing things out and running every single decision like it's a test is the fastest way for them to get results.
Okay, look, I use Hormozi GPT to coach me. Sometimes I'll go onto Hormozi's GPT. Someone's made this amazing Hormozi GPT, and what I'll do is sometimes I'll think about my offer and I think, you know what, I'll ask Hormozi. And every single time it'll give me an answer. And it's like a nice way to get some coaching from Hormozi. But then what ends up happening is I had to know the question to ask. Your clients are coming to you because they don't even know the question to ask. So by giving them a ChatGPT bot, the reason why you can benefit from a bot, I know the question to ask. Some of them, they don't even know the question to ask. So how can you benefit from a bot if you don't even know the prompt?
What makes you think they don't know the question to ask?
Because if they did, everyone would be asking the perfect question and getting the perfect answer. But why is there guys with the calculator still punching in the wrong calculation? When the calculator first came out, they thought accountants are going to go out of business. That's what the people thought. But then what ended up happening is people just didn't use the calculator properly and just didn't ask the right questions to the calculator the right way. So they left it to accountants to use.
For sure.
And it's the same way with GPT. Some people don't even know the questions to ask the bot. And that's why they need a human to guide them.
So
This is
the way
AI battle.
Yeah, no, dude, look, it's a more of philosophical question more than anything. So the way I guide my clients is fundamentally around data and inputs.
Yeah.
So I've been collecting data for a pretty good period of time now. I have a really good understanding of what inputs result in what outputs. And the cool thing is, honestly, about these businesses, the inputs are pretty simple. As in, like, there's not a huge amount of, like, there's not a million different inputs. There's like 6 core inputs that you need. You need to make content. You need to have conversations with people. You need to convert them into clients, and you need to deliver the work with clients. And there's like 10-ish metrics that we look at.
Would you get a therapist as an AI?
Bro, ChatGPT's been my therapist for the last 9 months, man.
I would fear for your like level of human interaction.
Why?
Because if you AI everything, AI is a model that's going to give you specific answers. Like, for example, if I ask Grok today, apparently it's going to tell me Hitler's God. If I go and ask ChatGPT, it's going to give me another thing. And you know, if me and you both ask ChatGPT the same question right now, yours is going to give you a different answer based upon what it's learnt about you.
Sure.
So it's not giving you an unbiased, broad answer. It's giving you an answer of data that it's learnt from you. And that's why a human...
Is that not what a therapist does?
A therapist asks unbiased questions to guide you to get the answers yourself.
Okay, but you mean you'd agree that like they also formulate their questions based on the data that you've given them, right?
Yes, and they take that, but they're doing it in an unbiased way. Well, it's not that AI is biased and a human isn't biased. It's not what the...
I think it is like they've shown that AI is biased. Like they've shown that, and that's the big fear. So, dude, I'm totally aligned with you. So I'm just all I'm saying is that I've seen the evidence from my clients who tell me this every day that this simple tool has been transformative for them, like taking action and getting results. So it's just tough for me to hear from you being like they don't know what the questions to ask, when I'm like, but that it's not about asking questions. It's about, are they moving in the right direction? And I track if they're moving in the direction with data. So it's not a finger in the air being like, oh, how are you feeling about this? It's like, are you making progress, yes or no? When people are not making progress, I step in and I guide them more specifically. But if they're making progress and they're going in the right direction, that's all good. Great.
Let's just clarify what we're debating on a macro level. You're empowering people to be solopreneurs and saying there's tools out there that you can just do it yourself. There's more tools than you know, and it'll protect your margin, protect your sanity. I'm saying you need to learn the powers of delegation so you can build a business that doesn't need you. And it's kind of resulting in the same thing, because you're leveraging yourself out with technology and I'm leveraging myself out with people skills and delegation. Are we on the same page? Is that correct?
Yeah, look, I would remind you that I'm not teaching people how to be solopreneurs. I do teach people how to delegate. I do teach people how to hire, because I've been going through it myself. So, but like, yeah, I'm just to like, I know it would be spicy for me to be like, yeah, it's a solopreneur, but I disagree. For solopreneurship is the phase from having a side hustle to being a full on entrepreneur. And being a full entrepreneur is having the skills to delegate, lead, and hire. So I'm totally along the lines with you. We're just in a really interesting time now where we're having these tools which are wiping out job roles like weekly, dude. And it's like it's not about my opinions about them. It's about like philosophically, like when we have this tool, when I have a tool which costs me $20 a month, or you're saying I should hire someone that could be 20 grand a month, how am I weighing those two things up when ultimately it's like, is my $20 a month tool that my clients are giving me evidence that is crushing it for them and helping them move even faster than they were before? How can I justify that?
Okay, it's not one or the other. It's giving you, because you still have to manage your clients, and the AI will speed things up and automate a lot of their questions and allow them to be self-accountable. But then they still need a consultant. Like the clear bottleneck that you have is delivery, even with this AI. So the AI hasn't actually, it might have fixed one problem, but it hasn't fixed the business in terms of its constraint of fulfillment. So it's still going to need a hire, and it's still going to need an expert to come in and take over.
Yeah, I would, again, I'd slightly disagree with that. I think it has massively changed how I do my delivery. But what we're saying is like, this is how fast tech is moving at the moment. This is like a new insight within the last month for me. So I'm like, I absolutely is changed how I'm doing delivery. So like that. It's not like it's not changed things, but it's happening so fast. I haven't even had time to reflect on like, oh, if it means this is the case, what next? Yeah.
Okay. So the main point is, why do you not hire salespeople? Why do you want to?
We get into salespeople. Okay, so I've been thinking about this a lot, dude. And this is about it comes back a little bit to this philosophical idea of, what are we doing as entrepreneurs? Is it on us to grow businesses so that we can help grow other people? Or are we building businesses so that we can provide services to help our customers? And I think you firmly sit on kind of like I'm here to create an impact by having conscious capitalism, which means I'm going to invest in human capital. But there are so many others who that is not the reason they get into entrepreneurship. They get into entrepreneurship because they want kind of what the feeling of freedom is. And for me, that's why I got into entrepreneurship. And I've now had this interesting first season where I've gotten to this point where I do finally feel free around my decision making. I can choose what I do, when I do it, where I do it, how I do it. And that feels amazing. But then the question is like, okay, now I've got that, what next? And so I'm still trying to kind of process this myself. The challenge is that I understand that absolutely everything works when it comes to building a business.
Would you make more money with a salesperson?
So again, it's the bottleneck for me is delivery. If that bottleneck was fixed and I had a salesperson, if I had an uncapped, unlimited amount that I could deliver, 100% I would. I'm going to agree with you on that because it's going to persuade more people to join.
Yeah.
Here's the challenge. In my experience, when I've now been doing a no sales model for 9 months now, since doing that, I've had the highest quality of client that I've ever had. I don't have people who are headaches to work with. I've really only got like dream clients that I work with now. And I'm not having that situation where people feel like they are a poor fit. When I was previously doing sales calls, there was a higher percentage of times and occurrences where there were people that would start and then they would end up after a day, a month, a couple of months, whatever, just to not be a good fit. But it would be a really painful experience offboarding those people. And I haven't had to deal with that pain for the last 9 months. and I'm pretty happy about that.
Okay, this is how I would describe it. You know, small businesses have 5-star reviews and large businesses have 4 stars. Like an example would be your local cafe that delivers amazing food to everyone on that street. They only have like 20 people that come in for a coffee every morning, but everyone's happy, it's a community. But then they start running Facebook ads and people start coming from all over the town, and then you get people from the bad part of town. But this business has now grown and this cafe's multiplied and they have to deal with more stress. That's just the stress of businesses. So like you saying, oh, every customer's great, that's because they're so high in the bottom of, they've got so deep in the bottom of your funnel and just bought themselves. Everybody else that's sat middle of funnel doesn't even buy. And those people who have doubts, like, just never going to buy from you. So it's like that is the deepest part of your funnel, the middle. The top, obviously, you make great content to attract those people in, and you know marketing very well, but you're not even selling to them. You're like, yeah, just buy it, or I'm not even going to try.
Yeah. So look, I mean, this is probably a good point to tell people that the model that I teach, I call it building a lifestyle boutique business. And you kind of described that, right? That's what I teach people because that's what people want. It's ultimately what I wanted, and I now have. And so you raise a really cool point, right? It's like, and what? Are you going to stay as a boutique business? Are you just going to serve your street that you're on? Or are you going to open the doors, market, advertise, open yourself to having people who might not be a great fit? And the honest truth, dude, is I don't know. All I'm saying is that I've built a business that I truly love right now, and I'm enjoying it. And I think it's very easy to, frankly, especially in the online business space, to listen to a lot of dudes where the answer is scale. And I'll be honest, I've seen it from, you just have to watch some of the biggest people in the space. Watch them speak to cameraman. There is so much pain in the delivery that they are speaking through to the camera, and a lot of them seem fucking miserable. And that to me is the question, is like, not can we do this? It's why are we doing it in the first place? So there's no right or wrong way here. You're totally right. And that's where the question around impact comes and how you define impact. But I think what does happen is people chase impact and they sacrifice their life in the kind of pursuit of that, and end up in this situation where they're like, I hate this. And I don't think that is the right way to do it, because I've kind of been on that path myself. I've lived that, building something that I ended up hating, despite it being technically successful on paper. And I see it with, a lot of the people I work with. They've also done that, built these models where they've got these big teams, super low profit margins. They feel disconnected from the people that they were trying to help in the first place because they've got coaches that coach them. And they're like, they just feel like they're a manager. And I just think that I don't know the answer to this. I just know that some people are looking for different things. And I'm wrestling with this at the moment. I'll be open to that. I don't know. I don't know is what is the answer to this. All I know is that, like, I'm super happy with what I'm doing right now. My clients are really happy with what they're doing right now, and they're having huge amounts of impact. I think more about my ripple effect. So if I can help 100 people, who they can then go serve 100 people, and I help a lot of people who are like business coaches and consultants. I know that the ripple effect is going to be massive. But at the same time, 100% with you, dude. I know that it's not about the money. It's not about leaving money on the table. It is about the impact. And I'm tussling with that right now, dude.
The one thing that I kind of hear is your business is kind of built off your feelings and your vibes. So like, if you feel a certain way, that's how your business goes. But then as your business grows, it now provides at scale. And if you build a business based upon how you feel, you will have, let's say 10% of your days in a year are bad, or down days. And let's say you have 30 bad days scattered throughout the year. in those days, how does that affect your business? If it's built upon your mood and not built upon other people and systems, and I know you're big in systems, but if it's built upon like not just I am the only person steering this ship, and it depends on how I feel about it.
Yeah, dude, look, I mean, the truth is, like, I'm where I'm at right now because my mood doesn't dictate my actions. I fucking do the work, man. And that's the truth. And that's why I'm sat in this place, is that because my mood doesn't dictate what I do. I fucking get up and do the work. And that's the truth. I what I'm optimizing for is enjoyment and fun. So I don't believe that we as entrepreneurs who have taken control of our life and our destiny shouldn't be thoroughly enjoying what we're doing every day. And I really do think that there is this sentiment in the entrepreneurship, especially online business space, where it's the like, if your eyes ain't bleeding and you're not feeling like you're banging your head against a brick wall every day, then you're a loser. And I think that's lame. Like, at the end of the day, we're all going to be dust, ashes, eaten by worms in however many years. Could be tomorrow, could be today, fuck knows. But I'm going to have some fun. And so that's what I optimize for. I'm optimizing for fun. And I believe that my highest amount of impact is going to happen when I'm optimizing for fun. Because that's what's going to put energy.
I absolutely love what you said. And I want to ask you a question which is off pace. What self-development have you done over the last few years that's allowed you to have this unique mix of harmony and grit? Because you are harmonious, what's the word? You're full of harmony, which is peace and clarity, and then you have grit. And sometimes people can't have that. Like, I have a hippie mindset at times, and then I have a grit. I think this is why we get along. Because it's like, how can I be still and peaceful and grind and have grit? What self-development or what have you done to get to that?
So I would say that things really only started to change at the beginning of last year, so 2024, when I accepted that I finally needed to open my mind to the idea of spirituality. And look, who knows? But ever since then, things have kind of just gone in the right direction, and everything kind of has fallen into place. I've done a lot over the past year, and I would say now I recognize that that's the majority of what I do. So I do all of the personal development stuff. I do the journaling, do meditation, I do self-hypnosis, I'm working with a hypnotist right now. I am just so much more aware, and I understand so much more that I've learned in the last year. I'll give you some practical things, because this is the mandatory reading list that I give to my clients, and these are the texts that really did change everything for me in the last 2 years. So the first is this book, which I recommend everyone read, which is "Dollars Flow to Me Easily" by Richard Dotz. So this is, if you're like most people, you don't understand money, and you need to understand what it is so that you can master it. Let's see if it's getting back in. Then the next one's going to be U Squared by Price Pritchard. So this is about making quantum leaps. Super small book. You can read both of those books in 3 days. This was the one that changed everything for me, because it was written by a cosmetic dentist. A cosmetic surgeon. I used to be a cosmetic dentist. Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz.
I love that book, by the way.
It's an incredible book, because it's from a scientific perspective, which I was always a scientist. And so it was the first time I read something as a scientist that was dipping into spirituality, but it's still kind of like, it didn't actually really feel like that, but it was the thing that opened the door. And then I was like, okay, let's keep on going. And then I read this, and that changed everything for me. It's called 3 Magic Words by U.S. Anderson.
What are they? Give us the spoiler.
What's that? What are they? What are the 3 magic words?
Yeah.
I can't give the spoiler because it's so profound.
Okay.
And here's the challenging thing. When you read that book, you are thinking about that every single sentence and page. You're like, what are the 3 magic words? And the truth is, they're the last 3 words in the book. Don't skip ahead. Just play, just go through it, and it's phenomenal. And I think, if anything, to answer your question, it was those three magic words that is the answer to what you asked me. Is like, why do I act the way I am? I just have a different perspective, and it was from that book specifically.
Yeah, and it's like you've not got any fear. Obviously, we all have fear, or I would say, your level of courage is high. So
Yeah. So that again, no spoiler alert, but like that's kind of the point of the book. So most of these books, so Dollars Flow to Me Easily, Three Magic Words, and U Squared, and this, which I forgot to mention, which is The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. It is literally all about that. It's about turning fear into faith. And I think, like, I'd always thought faith was a religious thing. I'd never considered it in another context. I grew up in a kind of, I went to church when I was a kid. It made no sense to me, and I absolutely hated it for the next 30 years of my life, 35 years of my life. And then I realized faith isn't about religion. It is just a word that describes a situation where everything works out perfectly. And that's my perspective, is that everything is going to work out perfectly for me. Everything is working out perfectly for me. So people talk about this idea of failures. I just fundamentally disagree that failures exist. And I had a big argument with one of my clients about this a couple of weeks ago when he was in London. I don't think failures are anything but lessons. And I think failure is a negative connotation word. So I talk about making a hypothesis, running a test in our market as an entrepreneur, looking at the results, and then making another hypothesis. And if you do that, there's no such thing as failure. There's no such thing as failure, because you just learn from what you've just done and you make another decision. So it's decisions and lessons is how I think about that. And so when you recognize that and you just have faith that everything is going to fall into place, if you make enough of those lessons and decisions, if you have faith that the path is going to happen perfectly for you, then every single decision you make is the perfect one. And I find that incredibly freeing.
Yeah. And you can't get to, I'm not going to say, have you seen the stages? Have you seen David Hawkins? He has this thing which is like the chart of like consciousness or something. Don't know if
I haven't, no. I haven't.
It's like shows you the stages of like what's the highest level, and the highest level is like enlightenment, where the lowest levels are like shame and guilt.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, there's this chart, and it's like
Yeah.
and it's like, how do you continuously move up? Because as you move up, it actually earns you more money, and you've moved up to the higher levels on consciousness because you invested into these books and time and also the tactics. You found out what doesn't work, what does work, and stayed strong during that time where it didn't work.
Nailed it, dude. Like, nailed it. There is no shortcut. There's no magic pill. It is skill acquisition. It's understanding psychology, understanding what our brains are, who we are, what we are as humans. And yeah, that's been my realization. Like, as things have just taken off over the last 18 months, it's linked to my understanding of consciousness. It's linked to my reframe of fear into faith, and accepting that everything is going to work out perfectly for me, and understanding that I can't fail. I can just learn. And once you recognize those things and you understand that money is just an energy flow and it's an abundant resource that is infinite, that's when you move and you operate completely fearlessly. And when you move and operate completely fearlessly, you make the bold decisions and you make the bold moves and you push yourself out of your comfort zone. And as long as you recognize that when you're outside of your comfort zone, you're going to feel things like overwhelm, stress, pressure. You're going to feel those things. If you know that, then this has happened to me recently over the past couple of months. I felt those feelings, but after some reflection, I was like, okay, yes, because I'm actually stepping outside of my comfort zone. I'm actually leveling up. I'm taking on more responsibility. I'm hiring people. I'm pushing myself and learning things that I've never learned before. That's why I'm feeling that way. And once you understand those things, then it's like, okay, what's next? And let's have some fun.
Yeah, very nice. The more experience you get, the more you realize it's internal. When I was young and I used to think, no, it's just tactics. I just need to know what to do. And then the more experience I've got, I've kind of like realized every battle is won internally. And that's why, like, you even see Hormozi's new podcast with Chris Williamson. He said, oh, I'm doing meditation now. He wants to learn 4 hours of meditation a day, which is the complete opposite of what he said for the first 5-10 years. And I think everyone comes around eventually. He's literally saying, yeah, I just want to focus on being happy, going to the gym and training. And I'm like, is this the same guy?
Interesting. Yeah. So look, that's very interesting. Because I haven't heard that yet. Because to be completely honest with you, I stopped watching his content because I was bored of hearing him be like, yeah, just lock yourself in a cupboard and with no windows and sit there for 12 hours. And I was like, well, I don't think that's like the coolest way to live your life. But like, so it's interesting that he's come around to that. And I think you said it yourself, everyone goes through that process of like leveling up through consciousness. And it does start from actually, you know, where I started 2 years ago. You know, it was only 2 years ago where I would go to a shop and I would go to buy food and my card would get declined because I didn't have any money. And that happened to me for months. And that was extremely painful. And that was before I understood all this stuff. That was before, and for me, that was like, oh, I'm broke. I suck. And I was reinforcing these things and these beliefs. And that's why money never appeared. And ultimately, after I started to understand this and then open myself up to this other realm of consciousness, spirituality, understanding psychology and your subconscious, that's when money started appearing in my account. And I think it is the same for everyone.
Before I speak to someone, I do a good amount of research to learn, why is this person successful? And the one that I realized about you is you're the type of person who earns 5K and spends 40% of his salary on self-development, on courses and programs and mentorship. And 90% of people would not invest in themselves during that time because there's so many more things that they need to do. Because that extra $2,000 a month that you said you invested into yourself, into information, most people will invest into things. So how often do you get to be told, I'll invest when I feel ready, I'll invest when I have the money? I think that's the biggest fallacy that I've seen online.
Firstly, have you seen my bank statements? Is that why you're saying that? Yeah, look, I would have to. I wasn't expecting. Yeah, bro, you've clearly spoken to my accountant. Yeah, look, the truth is, you're right. Like, you know, as soon as I started making money, you know, last year, really pooling cash, it went straight to more education and mentorship and guidance and courses and education. And you're totally right. There is absolutely this fallacy out there that people will figure it out. And once they figure it out, that's when they'll get the help. And it's a fallacy because it's illogical. That doesn't make sense. And I actually, you know, learned this from Hormozi as an objection handling technique in sales like a couple of years ago. It's the idea of the when then fallacy. It's the I will pay for you to learn how to make money after I've made money. It's like it doesn't make sense. Like, so this is a really big common thing. What you have to do is understand that investing in yourself is a bet. It is a bet on yourself. And if you do not bet on yourself, you do not earn the rewards. You will not get any rewards because you have not taken a bet. A bet is a gamble. You need to bet everything on yourself because what else is there to bet on? If you can't bet on yourself, what else can you bet on? And so that's all I do. Every single time I see a potential investment opportunity in education, that is the easiest bet I'll ever make. It's the easiest bet I've ever made, and I've never lost. And I've made fucking so much personal development, financial development from that. And so, yeah, if you're there and you're thinking, oh, should I do this? Should I invest in this? I've got this thing. It's an automatic yes. And if any of you are familiar with I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit Sethi, he talks about this idea of having like luxuries to invest in. One of my luxuries to invest in is myself. And I think too many people look at Gucci, Prada, Balenciaga, and that's what they invest in as their luxury, instead of investing into what's up here.
Really nice. And they still don't look better than you, even though they're wearing all those brands.
Got my Gucci. I got my Gucci shirt here, my Prada hat. Fucking hell. Balenciaga hat. There you go.
Very nice. Tom, it's been amazing speaking to you. I really enjoy our chat, and I enjoyed challenging you, and I enjoyed obviously seeing the introspective side as well.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you for listening to the Lead to Win podcast. If you have any opinions on anything that was said in today's podcast, comment below, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.